What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Daily Dose with Dylan Davis. We are streaming to you guys live through the Pain Lines Network on TPL's YouTube and Twitter accounts, and we are also live on DSM Media's Twitch account. I got to tell you something, guys. I enjoy doing the show every single day throughout the week, and this has been the most dreaded, just depressing show that I can remember getting ready for. I'm here with a, I guess you can call him friend, AJ. So first of all, man, you give him a follow on at King Ka and just tell people. Are you from the Atlanta area? Like, how did you become a Hawks fan?
Yeah, dude, born and raised, went through every era of Hawks fandom you can think of from I guess like the first start would be like Mookie Blaylock, Christian Laettner, Dikembe era is when I first got in it. And then been just riding with them since then. And it's been a hard one, you know. There have been a lot of people that have diminished our hopes and dreams. Especially that like epic fucking like I don't know, like that whole January like 15 win squad. I think it was like 2015, where like everyone's like, "Oh, these guys are great."
Yeah, I know the feeling of a 10-win season, so I'm right there with you. We have a comment already. Second round curse isn't ending this year. It doesn't seem like it, man. So just real quick, I can't remember a time I felt more like literally kind of depressed after a loss. Like my heart felt like it got ripped out last night. And it's not the fact that they lost. I've seen this team lose games. I would be more confident that they can still win this series if they lost games 4 and games 5. It's how they've lost these games. They blew an 18-point lead in Atlanta in game 4 when I thought it was over. I thought they had the Hawks' hearts ripped out at halftime. That team had little to no momentum, and then all of a sudden you let them back into it. That crowd gets them back into it, and they end up winning by 3. You come back home, you build a 26-point lead in the first half. You're up by 22 with 3 minutes left or 2 minutes left in the third quarter. You have like a 97.5% chance to win, whatever that ESPN statistic was, and you blow it. So I have no faith. I'm down. I'm out, man. And I'll let you take the floor. I know you have to be feeling good. So floor is yours, man.
Oh man, I'm just gonna piggyback off of what you said, but like I don't know if you knew this, but before yesterday, Philly was 165 wins when they lead by 26 points. The Hawks are the first team to beat that streak.
Yeah.
And honestly, man, like Trey scoring the last 13 points out of 17 in like the last 15 minutes just shows the clutch gene, man. When your star Joel went to the line
and missed
both for the first time. And you know what I say? That's not icy, man. He doesn't have that clutch gene. And like, you know, I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, you guys talked a lot of trash at the very beginning, and I had nothing to say. But I think that's the youth of the Hawks, man. They're okay with giving up, and like it's not good. It's not a good way to go about it. They need to be able to be like hungry and not have to fall behind to get that hunger. At the same time, I think the national media is kind of making it more like, how did Philly fail? More so than like, yo, what did the Hawks do well on? Like, you got to point out the fact that like, you know, when most people would say that like Lou Williams and Trae Young are defensively the worst backcourt you could put out there, and statistically that's right. Those guys were literally, Lou Williams is what ignited the comeback.
Yeah.
You know, like if you look at it, what they do on defense is they allow John Collins to body up and guard Ben. And the thing that he does is Ben's not a shooter, which I think is another wild thing that you guys have him as your point guard. He's not a shooter, so John can body him up in the paint and leave him be and go help someone else when he's up at the, 3-point line, allowing him to double up on Joel, Tobias, and like, what did that lead to? A big John Collins block on Tobias Harris in that fourth quarter. And like, what was it? Your 3 starters, Tobias went. What, he went 0-5 in the fourth.
Tobias, no one else hit a shot besides Seth and Joel Embiid in the fourth quarter, or in the I forget, not the second half,
I think
but
it's like the second half.
It might be. There's a crazy ass statistic that
Let me.
there was a point. I don't think it was the entire.
Yep, in the second half.
Was it?
Yep.
So I remember there was a point for the last 42 Sixers points, 36 of them came from Joel Embiid and Seth Curry. 6 came from the rest of the team. And you said so many things that like I just want to piggyback off. You mentioned the youth of the Hawks and how like I don't know, they kind of need that, or they use like getting down early as some kind of motivation or whatever. And it's just so mind-boggling to me because it should be reversed. Like blowing a 26-point lead is something the youthful team should be doing. Not this Sixers team. Not that the Sixers aren't young. Ben Simmons 24, Joel Embiid's 26, but compared to this Hawks team, that's the youthful thing to do. Get a big lead in a playoff game and blow that big lead. It was the Sixers have done it in the past. And now that it's still occurring, especially to a more youthful Hawks team, is the point, you know, the thing that's really, really bothering me. You brought up what else did you bring up? The Lou Williams point. And the Lou Williams point is driving me nuts because now everyone's coming out with with the Doc Rivers blown leads since in the last decade or decade and a half or so. And it's really it's bothering me because last night Lou Williams checks into the game and he hits a bucket. I'm like, okay. Then he hits another bucket. Then he hits a 3. And I'm like, yo, like, do you want to adjust at all? Like, do you want to Seth Curry's on fire offensively, right? But that's all getting negated because they're hunting Seth Curry on the defensive end, especially with Lou Williams. Lou Williams was a plus 31 last night. So to your point, we don't agree often, man. We have it in the past week, but I agree wholeheartedly with you about the fact that Lou Williams was the driver behind getting you guys back into the game and changing the momentum of that game. And Doc Rivers just simply didn't adjust. He didn't throw any different looks at him.
I mean, you're right, but at the same time, what could he do? Because you got to think of it this way. Trae Young came in at that point, like after a couple, like once Lou Williams got hot, Trae came in. And who are they going to put? Because once you put you don't want to take Seth out. So Seth's going to have to guard one of those two. It's a pick your poison type play. So either way, you guys are going to have, I don't want to say a mismatch, but Seth has the same, I would say cons as you could say Trae Young does. Great, he's a great 3-point shooter, but not a great defender, especially on the 3 ball, even though he should be because his brother's fucking Steph Curry. But neither that or anything. I kind of just want to point out the fact that literally all your stars didn't show up in the fourth quarter. And to your point, the Sixers are a great team. I give you that. But Clint Capella was right, man. You push him hard the first 3 quarters. Joel is burnt.
Clint, see now here we're gonna get disagreeing here. Joel got burnt out because no one else helped out besides Seth. Clint is getting his lunch money taken this series, bro.
100%. Yeah, Clint cannot stand up to Joel. Joel is a completely different beast. But what Clint is doing is the intangibles, man. He's getting him tired. He's pushing on him. He's not letting up and not backing down like most people would. And not only that, the thing that people don't realize and don't give credit to is our rookie. Okongwu is plus 17 this series against Philadelphia. A rookie center on you guys.
Yeah, but Clint's like a minus 48.
I mean, you're right, but at the same time, even though it doesn't show up in the points, he's getting him tired to a point where Okongwu is literally kicking Dwight's butt. Let's be real. He's blocking him. He's making him look foolish as a vet. And then when he does have the opportunity to go up against Embiid, I'm not saying it's a matchup even, but it's better than what I was expecting for a rookie.
No, I got you.
The thing that I think the thing that it bothers me about you guys podcast is just how it's obviously you guys are just having Sixers podcast. It's blatant. But I just feel especially with this series and Philly as fans in general, because Philly, actual Philly Braves fans have that huge rivalry.
Right.
And I've seen it. And Philly fans, Sixers fans in general, you guys come hunting for people for no reason. I've been in Reddit groups, Facebook groups that have been invaded by Phillies fans. And, my buddy Vince helps you guys. He knows you guys.
Yeah.
He put me on you guys. And I was just like scrolling through. I saw it and I was like, let's see what they have to say. Like, I'm open-minded. I want to hear what like people view the Hawks as. We don't have a lot of national coverage. So this is going to be great. And like, they're the number 1 seed. They're definitely going to be like optimistic. And they rightly should be. You guys have the second place runner and MVP. Right. But it was just so blatantly unreal. They're like, Hawks have no chance. Sixers in 4.
Okay.
Now it's Sixers in 5. Now it's Sixers in 6. Now it's Sixers in 7.
So I just want to address this. You were saying that on Twitter, and I never said. I said it could be a gentleman's sweep. I thought it was 6, and I clipped a video and said Sixers in 6. I had always said it was 6. I gave you.
But it's still not 6.
Well, yeah, now, but hold on. But my point was, when people were saying they'd rather play you guys than the Knicks when you guys were battling or whatever, I would have rather played the Knicks. I didn't understand. You guys offensively, I have been saying, have a lot of, can give people a lot of issues. But when you tuned into after game 1, you guys had hit 23s. You guys blew that lead. And we had Danny Green on Trae Young. These were all things that I knew weren't going to continue. And they haven't, right? So then the Sixers beat up on them in game 2. The Sixers beat up on them in game 3. The Sixers beat up on them in first half of game 4. You guys come back. You did. They did. And then we know what happened last night. So, dude, listen. I promise you, the Hawks have my respect. They have my attention. But you can't sit here and honestly tell me that you think that like they have outplayed the Sixers throughout I know the series is 3-2. So you have that. I understand that. But when you when you take it by what it is, if the Sixers don't blow a 22 point lead with 2 minutes left in the third quarter, or if they don't blow, like they have fallen apart the last 2 games.
Man, see, this is the thing that kind of bothers me about this is like you guys are making the narrative. The Sixers blew it. The Sixers blew it. It's on the Sixers.
They did.
Man.
Game 4. Hold on. Game 4. I give the Hawks their respect. It was more of what the Hawks did and what the Sixers didn't do. Okay. Last night, you cannot tell me you're sitting there at the end of the third quarter down by 24 points, and you honestly thought like, I think the Hawks can do this.
No, I legitimately did, because as a Hawks fan, there was one game that not a lot of people talk about where the Hawks went for an entire quarter and didn't miss one 3-point shot. They went 11 for 11 3-pointers. That's 33 points in one quarter, not including the points in the paint. So in my like wildest of dreams, I was like entering the fourth. I was like, you know what? It's not going to happen. I'm realistic, but it's not like it's impossible. And that was my mindset the entire time. Like, we just got to chip away. We have, in my opinion, the best 3-point shooting team in the playoffs right now. If you look at it, we got Trae Young can shoot from 3-point. It's him, Steph, and Dame that can do it as well as they do. That's it. You know, they're a 4-level scorer to take from this guy, Rashad, that I follow, is the Yoda of basketball. Oh, literally, only 3 people can do it, what he does. Then we got Herter, who is off. We have Lou Williams, the best, arguably, 6th man of the year, like for like the last 3 years. Gallinari, who's been known to stroke it from 3. John Collins, who has a sneaky 3-pointer, right? And that's literally just, I'm sure that we have more that I'm not even thinking of, like fucking Bogdan.
Well,
he was off too. Terrible. But he was terrible yesterday. And that's not even including Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter, who I'm not even bringing up because they've been out this entire series. Those 2 guys alone, like DeAndre Hunter would change the game up. He helped us in New York. He was literally, I think, the reason why we won the New York series. So having him has been a detriment. But Trae Young alone, man, he put up 39 points. Okay, this man is doing things that haven't been seen before. I got like mad stats too, but like I don't want to bore you with that. But the guy, you got to give credit where credit is due, man. He's the second player to record 275 points and 100 assists in the first 10 playoff games.
That's great, but Russell Westbrook throws out these crazy ass numbers too, and we've seen how that plays out. Trae has been phenomenal. Trae's been phenomenal, but you have to admit, after the first half of game 1, he's getting his. He's always going to get his numbers wise. That's what the great ones do. but the Sixers have made it so much more difficult for him to do so after the first half of game one defensively. Yeah, they have. The numbers show it.
You're right. 100% you're right. But the thing that you guys aren't taking into account is the fact that everybody feeds with Trae Young. Look at the assists that went up.
I get it.
Yeah, he's getting covered, but his assists are going.
And that's why game 5 really bothered me, because I think at one point he only had 1 assist. It might have even been the entire first half. He only had 1 assist. He had more turnovers than assists. And I'm like, all right, like you're strapping up. Try game 4. He started like shooting 1 of 10. I'm like, okay. And they've just found ways to blow it. Look, I can see where you're coming from, because as a Sixers fan, if they came back from 18-point deficits and 26-point deficits, and everyone was talking about how the other team failed and what the Sixers didn't do, I'd probably be pissed off as well. But what I'm saying to you is, honestly, if Joel Embiid, the MVP runner-up, doesn't shoot 0 for 12 in the second half, that's not Clint Capella's defense. That's not Okongwu's defense. He shot over 12. He missed an open layup.
Tired, man. Okay, let me ask you this question then. Okay, if you knew ahead of time at the beginning of the series, or like even for the next two, forget even the beginning of the series, for the next 2 games, if there is like a 35% chance that Joel Embiid is going to seriously hurt himself and be out of like the rest of the series and the rest of the playoffs, would you still play him?
35% chance? I mean, that number, it sounds scary, but I mean, you have to play him. Like,
okay, but see, that's the difference in mentality between franchises. DeAndre Hunter literally has the same exact injury that Joel Embiid had.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
Because he's getting surgery on his right now. There's different. They're not the same player at all. So DeAndre Hunter to the Atlanta Hawks is not Joel Embiid to the Philadelphia 76ers. And B,
his defense is literally a big point.
Not hearing that. I get it. He's a nice piece for them. You cannot compare DeAndre Hunter.
The mentality is different in the fact that we literally were a 20-win team last year, and we've gone from that to making the number 1 seeded team go down in a series in the second round of the playoffs, and we didn't expect it at all. We were just excited to make the playoffs. So that mentality, that like we are not in the we need to win now mentality.
No, but
this is more of a like, how far can we go?
My point with the point
that I'm trying to make is that you guys don't have as much time. You don't have next year. You don't have the year after that. This is your year. This is your time this year, because Brooklyn is hurt. You're not going to get past Brooklyn next year. It's obvious. You also don't have a point guard who is legitimate a point guard. You need somebody who can facilitate. You need somebody who can shoot a 3 and spread it out. Ben Simmons does not spread out the game. He packs it in, which makes it harder for Joel. You need a true point guard who can shoot the ball. If you want to keep Simmons, I get it. You guys are attached to him. Put him in a small forward, power forward position. Let him do what he's actually born to do. Stop trying to be like, oh, he's a point guard. He's not.
Okay.
This whole point guard mentality is terrible. And like, honestly,
so if he can't shoot the ball, where are you putting him then?
I literally just said small forward.
Small forwards don't
or power forward? Dude, yeah, in this day and age, yeah, you're right. They all shoot. Everyone shoots. So the fact that Ben Simmons has like a starting role is astonishing to me. He's great defensively. Don't get me wrong. Great. He can power down the thing, but like that's not like the game these days. Trae Young is literally cooking him if you look at all the stats.
No, he's not. Oh my God. No,
look
he's
at the stats. Look at the stats.
You're going by Trae's numbers, not by Trae's numbers on when Ben Simmons is in coverage.
All I'm saying is Ben Simmons has looked like a fool. He cannot make a free throw. He is a liability for you guys in the playoffs.
So let me address the Ben thing really quickly.
And you're trying to say that he's a better player than Trae Young. Like, that's mind-boggling to me. Trae Young is a factor.
I didn't say. I said that his defense on Trae Young is different.
Okay, but you're saying be real. So is Trae Young a better player than Ben Simmons?
Trae Young is a much better scorer than Ben Simmons.
Okay, in this playoff series, is he a better player?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take it. But like, he's a better point guard too overall. 100%.
So my point with the Ben thing, just really quickly, getting to that is, I have defended it over and over and over again. And after the last 2 games, I can't I can't defend it. I'm not saying I want Ben traded. I still love Ben, but my thing was when he would do it against Washington in the first round, or he would do it in the regular season, and they were still winning games. It didn't affect me because I was like, I just had faith that he would turn it around. And although he's not a good free throw shooter, he never has been, but even 65% before the All-Star break was serviceable. Dude, he's shooting like 28 to 33%, whatever it is from the line right now. And I'm tired of it. And it's not even just the free throws. It's you come out in game 4 and I don't know if he attempted a shot or he attempted one shot in the second half or the fourth quarter, whatever it was. And he took like 3 or 4 shots the entire game. And I got to be more aggressive. I know I got to be more aggressive. I want to be more aggressive. And then you take 4 shots again and you take 1 shot in the fourth quarter. I can't defend it anymore. I'm not going to sit here.
0 shots.
0 shots.
Last game.
I can't sit here and defend his lack of scoring anymore. I can't sit here and defend his lack of aggressiveness anymore. I won't do it. I still love Ben Simmons. I do not want to trade Ben Simmons at this moment. But if they fall to the Atlanta Hawks in the second round this year, and it's because a large part of it is because of what he's doing, there's going to be conversations, and I will be having conversations right here throughout the course of this summer. But the other thing, listen, it's not true that this is the Sixers 1 year. Joel Embiid's 26 years old. Ben Simmons, depending on
he's injury prone. But he's injury prone.
So is everyone on the damn Nets. That's why you just brought up the Nets. They're not. Who says they're going to be healthy next year?
I mean, but the difference is the Nets have 3 like all-star scorers, whereas clearly this series has shown you have 1 all-star, and the fact that like 1 all-star scorer, and the fact that like you guys get so much attention, and the Hawks right now are taking 3 defensive like first team players that they're above in a series with no all-stars. No all NBA teams, nothing. They're playing with chips on their shoulders. And that's what yesterday came down to. When they all heard that like Capella did it when he leads he's one of the leaders in rebounds and blocks. Trey did it when he's leading the league, he's one of the leaders in assists and points. None of them got anything. I got this is one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time is the fact that of players in the history of NBA who averaged 25 points per game and 9 assists per game in one season that weren't on the All-Star team, it was Trae Young, and Michael Adams. So you're telling me that there's no media bias, there's no bias in the NBA.
Listen, bro.
Dude, 100% there is.
All I'm going to say is I don't know if we have
getting out of hand when you guys are give credit where credit's due, man. Come on.
I don't know if we have different. I don't know if you're not watching national television, whatever you're watching. All that I watch being talked about is Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks.
Okay,
dude.
But the narrative isn't. Oh, look at the Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks. The only person who talks about them like that is Kendrick Perkins. Big up, Big Perk. But everyone else is like, oh, Philly messed up. This is what Philly did wrong.
But last night in Game 4. In Game 4, you're right. It shouldn't be what Philly didn't do. Last night, it is just that the Sixers blew it. A
26-point comeback isn't the Sixers blowing it. It's
yes, it Hawks. Is. It's the biggest choke job ever.
It's a 2-quarter game that changed up in. And you got to admit, man, the Hawks figured out Ben Simmons on defense. Dude's not effective.
But it's not. It wasn't just that. Tobias Harris shot 2 of 11 and had 4 points.
Yeah, because we figured out defense, man. He got blocked several times. Once by Onyeka, once by Collins, and the defense was all over him. That zone defense is something you guys aren't taking into consideration, and Nate McMillan changed the game up. All right, straight up, changed the game up. It allowed, and this is something I wanted to bring up earlier when you were talking about it's a young team that should be losing a 20-point win. You're right. But the Hawks have had that experience in the last 2 years being together. This is the second year that this core has been together. They've added new points and pieces. But under the Lloyd Pierce era, they were used to that. They're a good team. But literally, if you look at the stats and everything, the second Nate McMillan took over, it's a completely different squad. We are number 1 up there with you guys in offensive rating. We were the number 1 team in the fourth quarter points and defense. After that, Like, people don't take into consideration this is legitimately a completely different team once the coach took over. And it's still astonishing to me for you to be like, okay, no, it's one quarter that you guys messed up in. It's 26 points. 26 points. You guys have to mess up so many times over and 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 over again. No. So you got to think of it. If you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, your team must be insane, because that's literally what the definition of insanity is. If something's not working and you're doing it over and over again, you got to stop.
But no, because it wasn't just that they were doing the same thing over and over again. It's just the fact. Dude, hold on. I got something. Where is it?
Okay, but that's the point. They were getting exposed by the Hawks over and over again. There was nothing they could do to stop that happening over and over again. That's the point that I'm trying to make. You got to give the Hawks credit because they exposed y'all. They made it a point. They were hungrier.
Dude,
they were faster
if
paced.
You think,
and they changed it up.
If you think that the Hawks all of a sudden, after getting their asses kicked for the first 3 quarters of this game, just all of a sudden put it together defensively and they forced Philly into all of this, then I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. The bench. Tobias Harris shot 2 of 11 and had 4 points. He averages 21 on the season. 2 of 11, 4 points. We already know what Ben Simmons did and what he did from the free throw line. The bench combined for 13 points. Shake Milton and George Hill, the backup guards, shot 2 of 10 from the field. So no, it wasn't just.
Okay, but like, look at the Hawks too. Like, if you want, I'll pull up the box score. But like, I know off the top of my head, Herder did garbage.
Yeah,
Bogey,
Bogey was in foul trouble.
Little number 2, he was terrible.
Lou Williams was a plus 31. I've never seen anything like it.
Okay, Seth Curry put up 30 some points, dude. So it's like the same thing can be said about you guys. Like, it's a fairly even game if you look at it, like, stats wise. Our bench did not produce as well as you guys think. Like, is Seth a starter for you guys?
Yeah.
No, he's bench.
No, he's starter.
Is he a starter?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's weird. That changes things up. I thought he was a bench guy. Well, also, the thing that you guys aren't paying attention to is Thibault, your biggest defensive guy, was the one who lost the game for you. Nobody's paying attention to that. He got pump faked into a 3-point foul that gave us the lead. And he's supposed to be your defensive man. He was on your all defensive team, wasn't he?
He was on the second All-NBA defensive team, yeah.
And he got shook on the playoff floor by Trae Young. And you're not giving Trae Young credit. That is an all-star move. That is playoff-worthy highlight moment.
Getting someone to go for somebody. He does it all the time.
Did you see how high he went?
I get it. Congrats.
Come on. If it was Ben Simmons that pulled that shit, which nobody would fall on because it's Ben Simmons, take that 3. But like, if he did that, you guys would be celebrating, losing your minds in the street. Like,
not over a pump fake foul.
And you guys lost your mind when he made a 3-pointer.
By the way, Danilo Gallinari and Lou Williams gave you 31 points on over 70% shooting off your bench. I just told you that we had 13 points combined off the bench. So it was, listen, dude, I'm giving game 4 is what you guys did right. And what the Sixers didn't do outside of Joel Embiid, I don't know.
So you literally but you just proved my point. Our bench came to play and y'all's didn't. That is not the Sixers losing. That is the Hawks coming to play. You got to change the narrative, man. Like,
because they didn't come to play. They didn't come to play. It was the fourth quarter. It was the fourth quarter.
I love the heart that you have for your team, but saying a team didn't come to play when they win a 26-point deficit win is bonkers. That's the definition.
I didn't say the Hawks didn't come to play in the fourth quarter. I'm saying the Sixers lost last night. The Hawks did not win that game. You can laugh, you can joke it off all you want. It's a fact.
Okay, but the series now, remember when you said that the Hawks don't match up to the Sixers?
Yeah.
The series is up 1 game to the Hawks. Do they match up now?
I get it. And it's Doc Rivers, lack of adjustments. It's Ben Simmons, and it's Tobias Harris. Bro, I'll lay it out for you really quickly. First half, Atlanta Hawks. Game 1, first half, Atlanta Hawks win the first half. Second half, Sixers win game 1, second half. Sixers win all 4 quarters of game 2. Sixers beat the Hawks' ass all 4 quarters of game 3. Sixers beat the Hawks' ass. First half of game 4, Hawks come back. They win the second half. Sixers beat Atlanta's ass all 3 quarters of game 5. Atlanta comes back in the 4th. Fact or not?
Not.
What?
I'm gonna quote one of my favorite movies here, and the fact that it doesn't matter if you beat me by a mile or a millimeter. I win. That's all that matters.
And
man.
I'm giving you, I'm giving you. So listen, you have the lead. I got that. But what I'm saying,
you can say you won all these quarters or whatever, and like we can argue back and forth semantics all day because you know what? Yeah, I don't care what quarter we won, what quarter you didn't win, because at the end of the day,
that's not what I'm trying to say.
The comeback happened. The comeback only happened because if your boys. The thing that you're also not taking into consideration here is like, yeah, you guys failed on defense. There's a lot of things you guys didn't do. But at the end of the day, the Hawks have to execute and make those goals to actually win. And we did that. And then we did that in a good fashion. And it's like, I see what you're saying, that there's a lot of things you guys need to work on, and I get that. But I don't think it's like, I guess you could say Doc Rivers is a bad coach, but there are people out there that say he's one of the best coaches in history. So you can argue here or there what that is.
I love Doc. I'm just talking about his lack of adjustments in this playoff series and how he's done it in the past in the playoffs and how he sticks with things for too long. Like Shake Milton. Shake Milton comes into game 3, I believe, and gives the Sixers a pulse when the Hawks bring it back and take the lead by 2 in the third quarter. He gives the Sixers, he drops 14 in 11 minutes. And now Doc won't take him back off the floor, and he's struggled pretty much ever since that game. That
like the lack of adjustment. That he can reignite. He's hoping that he can reignite that in him.
Right, but he waits he does that for too long, and then it's too late. Like he digs that hole too long.
Well, you have to allow your players the opportunity to come out of it and like get hot, because you got to admit that when he came hot in, he came in trailblazed.
Right.
What Doc is trying to do, he's trying to turn Shake into a Lou. And Shake's not a Lou. He's not Lou Williams. Lou Williams is one of a kind. Okay, he is the spark for the Hawks that Doc wants Shake to be. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, you're right in the fact that he's taking too long, but you're not taking into account like yesterday when you're just like, you know, he should have taken Curry off of Lou Williams. But what else would he do?
No, it's not even the fact that you have to change Curry. It's just different. Don't leave him in isolation. He was getting left in isolation to get cooked over and over again.
Right, but okay, what would be your solution to that?
You can trap Lou Will the same way you try to trap Trey when he crosses the half court. You can send help earlier.
But then that leaves Trae Young open, if not Trae Young, Gallinari open, who's also on fire.
I know that they're better. I know that Trae Young is obviously better than Lou Williams and more of a threat. But when Lou's that hot, you can't just let him keep hunting Seth Curry over and over and over again. That's what changed. You were right. That is exactly what changed last night's game, was Lou Williams coming off the bench. I think he scored like 4 or 5 straight possessions in a row, and it brought them back into single digits. And then it was like, oh boy, here we go. But
it's literally a pick your poison, though. Like, if you trap Lou, Trey's open. If you trap Trey, someone else is open. And what the Hawks hope for is that one of the other guys, like Bogey, Lou, Herter, Danilo, John, they will start firing up and they'll become like that number 2 Robin. But we don't have that. It shows up in different people each game. And that's kind of what the Hawks are built around. It's kind of the Trae Young show with a bunch of fucking talented dudes that aren't superstars. Like, even though I think John Collins is almost there, he just needs to be a little more confident. He was an X factor in, what was it, game 4 or game? Game 4. Yeah. Dude, those dunks came out of nowhere. And it's kind of funny to me that you're like, give the Hawks credit for game 4, but not last night.
Because they're two different. It's a different planet. You don't just like, the Hawks didn't just come back down. The Sixers had 19 fourth quarter points, dude. They gave up 40.
But it's
and I'm sorry, and that's not the Hawks just figuring it out in the fourth quarter.
No. It's this. But if you look at it, if you look at the 2 games, it's they entering the fourth quarter, they were down the exact same amount of points. They were, and they both came back from that deficit. at the beginning of the fourth quarter in the game 4 and the beginning of game 5, they were literally down by the exact same amount of points.
No, I don't think so.
100%. Look it up.
No, because they were down 13 at halftime. You hold on, you could be right, but they were down 13 at halftime.
I think it was 16. I think we were both down either 16 or 18, and if it wasn't, it's a 2-point differential.
You were down by 2 going into the fourth. In game 4.
On the fourth in game 4.
Yes, because it was 13. I believe it was 13 at halftime, and then in the third, you outscored us by 11.
Okay.
5. Yeah, it was a 2-point game going into the fourth. So that's why I'll give you guys. That's why, because if the Sixers had an 18-point lead in the first quarter or early in the second quarter of game 4, and then you guys had all game and you guys chipped away and played better, and Trey got hot as the course of the game went on, and Embiid was off, and you guys came back that game. That's why I'm saying it's different. Last night, a 24-point lead just doesn't happen because the Hawks wake up. If the Sixers just hit a few shots, the Sixers lost by 3 points. They had two wide open slam dunks bounce out of the rim because they had Dwight Howard and Ben Simmons held on to the rim. Like that's how the fourth quarter went, and that's why I say it's different. And just to go back to the quarters thing, I'm not sitting here like as some like asshole being like, well, the Sixers have won more quarters in the series, so that's why I think they're better. What I'm trying to say is the fact that the Sixers have outplayed the Hawks for a majority of this series, and the Hawks had the lead in the series. And be honest here. Have you ever seen a series where like you have the lead or a team has the lead? Like, dude, your starters have all been negatives every game outside of game 4, and you guys have a 3-2. I've never seen anything like it. 4 out of the 5 games, your starters have been negatives by a large margin, and you have a 3-2 series lead. I'm being dead serious. I've never seen like something like that happen.
I mean, I'm going to be real. I don't know because like I haven't been like keeping up with sports that much until like a couple years
back. But I'm
just
thinking if you just take it for what it is, like, a plus minus is the starters were a negative that game. They lost. They would lose if that was it. So game 1, they were negatives. Game 2, they were negatives by a lot. Game 3, they were negatives by a lot. Game 4, you were like a +8, +1, +9 even. Game 5, your starters were a negative last night. I'm just saying it's not. This isn't a jab at like the Sixers or the Hawks. I'm just saying I've never seen anything like that from a statistical point of view when a team has a series lead.
You're probably right, and like my point to that is like, so our Hawks are literally built around young players. They've all grown up through draft picks, and like nothing was like literally no star was handed to us. Nothing. So our 2 veterans are Lou Williams, who's amazing, and Clint Capella, and that's it. No one else has playoff experience. And the fact that like the way we're going about it isn't traditional, I don't care because these guys are literally young dudes who have only been in the league max 3-4 years, majority of them. And the fact that they're doing this, especially after the last year with being a 20 win Hawk team, I think it just speaks volume to the difference that coaching came in and changed.
Yeah, the pace.
Like literally, it was a night and day. It was a night and day difference once Nate McMillan took over. They went on I think 8 or 9 win streak immediately afterwards. So it's like you got to give Nate McMillan. I've heard no one give McMillan any coaching props. I've only heard negative things about Doc, and it's like you got to give him some props. Yeah, like we got our asses handed us, the 2 games prior. He came back, and every time that we've been down, he comes back and he's like, "Look, guys, we can do this. We're young. They're gassed. They're tired."
Oh, dude, I saw it last night. I saw with 2 minutes left, John Collins and Trae Young are talking shit to the fans, and their body language is up, and they're ready. And you got Embiid and you got Simmons just staring like this, and Embiid slumped over. So I get what you're saying, but
I get as a passive, like as an NBA fan and somebody who like passively watches the playoffs when his team isn't in it. When I saw last year that game 7, Embiid crying over the loss to Kawhi, or maybe it wasn't last year, it was 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago.
Yeah, whatever. When Toronto won it all. Yeah. When I saw him crying, I was just like, you know what, man? I'm expecting him to come back full fire and all this. And I feel like he's just kind of like, there's nothing I can do right now. He's playing hurt. He's just not admitting it. I think it's bad that he's playing so much on it. I think it's gonna hurt him in the future. And if you guys do go past us, I think it's gonna play like a huge role in the next series. And I don't know, man. Like I feel like at this point, right now, right here and now, the Hawks are better built to go further in the next round. I don't think they're gonna go past the next round if they do. I'm gonna be real. I always thought that this series with Philly was a 7-game series. Hawks may win it. I want them to win it. Now I definitely like. I'm not gonna say definitely, but I'm more confident in them winning it now. But next round, like I don't think Philly will go for. I think the Hawks would go further if you put both of them against the same team. I think the Hawks would go further because I think Embiid is going to get hurt. He's not going to play as well. There's going to be a minute restriction, less play time. I mean, you guys have been like super negative when he's off the floor against the Hawks.
Yeah,
so that's a plus minus you guys got to talk about too.
No, but that's the bench plus minus, and that's what has killed us over the last 3 or so years. And we were hoping that it was different this year, and it's not. But the Embiid thing, like, yeah, he is hurt, and we all know that. And I think it showed a little bit in Game 4. But I was saying to people when people were like, "Oh, he's hurt," like, no, because you can't brag when he has 35 and 10 on the torn meniscus. And then when he plays poorly, say, "Oh, well, he has a torn meniscus." You can't have that counter argument. But he is dominating the Atlanta Hawks. And if he just had help, if Tobias Harris didn't go MIA after Game 4, if Ben Simmons would do something offensively, if the bench produced more than 13 points, they win last night's game. It wasn't on Joel Embiid and it wasn't on Seth Curry. But dude, moving forward, Game 6 is tomorrow night, and it could be the end of the Sixers season. Or they will be back for Game 7 on Sunday night in Philly. What are your thoughts on this? And look, man, I know we had a bet going on Game 2. I'll take that back. Don't worry about the gear, right? Don't worry about the gear for Game 2. But I'm
not doing any more bets. Nope. No, I'm not doing it. I'm cutting you off now because I'm superstitious as fuck. So I'm not putting any money on anything. I'm not doing anything.
Just because, like, series.
Nah, man. I mean. I was thinking, I was about to hit you back after I lost it and be like, yo, I got this on the series. And I was like, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm superstitious as fuck. Like, I knew as soon as I put a bet on Game 2, I was like, we're going to lose it now. And that's the Portuguese side of me. We're superstitious as fuck. So I'm just not going to do it. So I'm going to cut you off beforehand. But no.
All right, so what are your thoughts on the rest of the series? Is it over in 6 or coming back to Philly?
I mean, I always envisioned this series as a 7-game series from the beginning. I genuinely thought it was a pretty decent matchup. I think Trae Young and Ben Simmons is just a real mismatch, and like I think you guys got to figure out what's going on with Ben. I think John Collins doesn't get enough attention, and I think we have a bunch of 3-point threats. So I always thought it was going to go Hawks take 1 in Philly. I didn't know Game 1 or 2. Didn't matter to me. I was hoping we'd win 2 and 3 in Atlanta, and then you guys win at home
in 5. Yeah,
but it went a different way.
Yeah.
Switch things up a little bit. So, and then I was gonna be like, then we'd win in Atlanta again because we'd be down, 3-2,
right.
And then we'd have to win in Atlanta. But I mean, now that we're up 3-2 against you guys, like I gotta say, man, if we go, and this is the superstitious side of me, if we go with the MLK jerseys, I think we have a good shot. Like, no joke. I don't know. I think it'll possibly go Game 7, but Atlanta, the thing that nobody's been talking about besides that one loss to you guys, we were on like 11-game win streak.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Atlanta gets loud when we have a team to root for. And I'm sure you guys have noticed, like, there are a lot of Atlanta fans. It's just we've had the curse of Atlanta for so many years that we know not to talk trash when the game isn't over. So that's why I didn't talk trash when the game wasn't over yesterday. So, you never know what could happen, and that's kind of the beauty of sports. So, yeah. I mean, you never know. I'm hoping Atlanta gets loud. I'm hoping like that invigorates Trae. He likes the big stage. He loved playing in Madison Square Garden, and like that narrative of killing the Knicks at home. He loved that, and it just made him play better. And I think playing at home, I'm sure like when he sees Quavo and like 2 Chainz, and they're just gonna make him go off. So I'm gonna do that, and I just think John Collins is gonna hopefully step up. But I think Lou Will is gonna be that catalyst again, hopefully, and that's my optimistic view. If I'm being realistic, I don't know. 76ers could come out. Ben could like actually do what he should be doing and like fuck it, going hard at the paint.
I'm surprised, man.
But I think he knows that he's probably going to get in foul trouble really quickly. And like John Collins has been playing defense on him real well. So he can't really like push the paint because John's there. So I don't know. Joel's your only option in my eyes, and Seth has to get hot because without him yesterday, and I think that was like, I don't want to say it's a rare outing from a Curry because you never know and they can go off, especially Seth.
If we're being honest, Seth Curry does not score 36 points.
That's what I was gonna say.
The X factor, the guy that needs to get back to what he did all season and in the first series is Tobias Harris.
But my thing with Tobias is I don't think you guys are getting, and I'm a huge Tobias Harris fan. I've always wanted him to be on the Hawks. I think you guys don't give him enough touches early enough.
Yeah.
He gets his, but he's the third option in the whole lineup. And like even that time, he's a very unselfish player. Every time I've followed his career, he's a very unselfish player and always passes it up if he doesn't feel like he has the best shot possible or wide open shot 9 times out of 10. He'll take it in the paint, but like he's expecting a foul. And like with this series, the refs have been letting them play. So I just feel like you guys got to get him some touches earlier on, and that could help him. But because like, I don't know. Like, I think it was like the first 2 or 3 games, dude was cooking us too.
Yeah.
He was doing super well.
Yeah.
So I just feel like he just needs to get his touches early, and that's the difference maker. But
I'm surprised, man. The way I view it is my heart was ripped out last night. And then it felt even worse today. And if I feel like that, I don't know what the confidence level in this locker room or what that plane ride is going to be like back to Atlanta. So if the fan base feels like this, I don't even know what they feel like. There's a ton of pressure on Doc Rivers to change, his legacy in playoff series. There's a ton of pressure on Ben Simmons because he could not be a 76er after this summer if this play keeps up and they get bounced tomorrow night. Tobias Harris has, reverted back to 29 bubble playoff Tobias Harris somehow, some way. So there's a lot of things that need to change. I just view it as, and I'm not confident at all. I just think the Hawks have to win game 6 because I don't know if they want to come back to Philly for a game 7 because then you'd be beating Philly 3 times in Philly, and the Sixers are a very good home team. That's just the way I'm looking at it. I don't have confidence that the Sixers win tomorrow. I really don't. And the shitty part for me as a fan and a very emotional fan throughout the course of a game is, okay, let's say the Sixers come out on fire and they're up 15 at halftime. I still won't even feel good about it because I just saw what happened in game 4 and game 5. So I'm not confident at all. I don't know how the Sixers come back tomorrow night and bring it back to Philadelphia. But if they do, I would say Sixers in 7, or it's either Hawks in 6 or Sixers in 7. It's not. I really don't believe that the Hawks are going to come back here and beat Philly for a 3rd time this series in Philadelphia in a game 7. But that's just my early take right now. So yeah, man. I mean, not a lot of confidence over here.
I mean, fair. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a hard game. I hope we do have momentum, and I hope we ride that.
Yeah.
The only thing that I want to see different is I want the refs to call Embiid on those pushes, man. Like you can't be pushing people and folding John Collins like a table chair and then falling down the next thing asking for like you can't be an enforcer and a flopper. Like it doesn't work. You got to be an enforcer.
Listen, has he flopped? Yes. The refs suck at their jobs no matter what way you look at it. The only part that has bothered me with Atlanta fans on Twitter about Joel and getting calls is the fact that a majority of Trey's game is based upon weak contact and getting to the line. So that's the only part that annoys me. But anyway, guys,
I agree.
Yeah. So it'll definitely be an interesting game 6. Hopefully the Sixers can find a way to bring it back to Philadelphia. AJ, thank you so much for coming on. I am a man of my word. So win or loss, I know I had to come on here today, even though I was dreading it. Guys, go give him a follow on Twitter at King Ka. And listen, man, I know I won the bet for game 2, but plug your band. Tell the people what you got going on.
My band is Make Out Official on like Twitter and Instagram and all that. And we put out a couple singles. We're about to go record. So go give us a listen and check us out.
Go check them out, guys. AJ, thank you so much for coming on, and go Sixers, guys.